The film opens with a scene of a young man named Teto, who is abruptly awakened by the sound of a helicopter landing in his family's estate. Before Teto heads downstairs, he feels an arm wrapped around him. It belongs to a woman named Anna, who is still asleep beside him. It was revealed that Teto is the son of a wealthy tomato businessman, living a life of privilege. As he makes his way downstairs for breakfast, he encounters his father, Teodoro. The helicopter, as it turns out, belongs to Teodoro, who has just returned from one of his business trips. Before joining his father, Teto asks the family's loyal servant and his close friend, Igor, to take Anna home, as she is still asleep in his room. Over breakfast, Teodoro expresses his concern about Teto growing up spoiled and clueless about the value of hard work. To address this, he insists that Teto visit the family office later that day to discuss the upcoming birthday celebration and, more importantly, his future. Meanwhile, in a quieter corner of Rio de Janeiro, a young woman named Paula is seen waking up her friends, Raisa and Katia. The trio are medical students interning at a local hospital. After a long shift, their supervising doctor, Dr. Victor, commends Paula for her dedication and invites her to assist in a surgical procedure. While Raisa and Katia decline, citing prior commitments, Paula eagerly accepts the opportunity, seeing it as a chance to further her career. However, after the surgery, Dr. Victor begins to flirt with Paula, making her uncomfortable. She politely excuses herself and leaves to catch up with her friends, who are heading to a local festival. Back at the estate, Teto is lounging around when he decides to drag Igor along to pick out his birthday gift. They test drive a sleek Range Rover, speeding through the streets until they are stopped by a police officer. After a brief exchange, the officer lets them go on one condition. They must invite him and his colleagues to Teto's upcoming birthday party. When Teto arrives at his father's office, he tries to convince Teodoro to gift him the Range Rover. However, Teodoro has other plans. He reveals that Teto's real gift is a permanent position at the family company. Reluctantly, Teto agrees to the arrangement. Later, Monik, a junior executive at the company, offers to mentor Teto. But with his birthday party just around the corner, Teto asks her to postpone the work discussions until after the celebration. As the birthday party unfolds, Teto invites Selma, a woman Igor has been trying to impress. However, Selma shows no interest in Igor. Instead, she is drawn to Teto and in a bold move, kisses him right in front of Igor. Hurt and humiliated, Igor storms off, accusing Teto of being surrounded by people who only flatter him because of his wealth and status. Stung by Igor's words, which ring painfully true, Teto decides to prove a point. He removes his family ID card and jacket, determined to show Igor that he can blend in and enjoy himself without relying on his family's name or fortune. Not long after, a chaotic tomato fight breaks out. Paula and her friends quickly move aside to avoid getting caught in the mess. By chance, Teto hurls a tomato in Paula's direction, hitting her and sparking her anger. She scolds him, but the situation takes a darker turn when Paula's friends are harassed by a group of men. Paula steps in to defend them, only to become a target herself. Teto, who has already developed feelings for Paula, tries to intervene but ends up getting punched in the face, leaving his nose bloodied. Paula, being a medical student, tends to his injury despite the chaos. As Paula and her friends prepare to leave, Teto pretends to feel dizzy, hoping to keep Paula by his side so he can ask her out. Unfortunately for him, Paula sees through his act and declines his advances. Undeterred, Teto lies to her, claiming he's the son of a farm manager rather than revealing his true identity as the heir to a tomato empire. The next morning, Teto is awakened by the sound of a car horn. To his delight, it's his dream car, delivered as a gift from his father, Teodoro. Overjoyed, Teto meets with Teodoro and asks for permission to join an internship program at the family company's office in Rio de Janeiro. Teodoro agrees, seeing it as a step toward Teto taking responsibility. Later, Teto finds Igor and convinces him to come along to Rio de Janeiro. While Teto claims the internship is his main goal, his true motive is to reunite with Paula. To make things interesting, Teto proposes a bet to Igor. They'll swap identities and compete for the single permanent position the company is offering. Whoever wins gets to keep Teto's car as a prize. With the stakes set, their journey to Rio de Janeiro begins. Upon arriving in the city, they settle into an apartment owned by Teto's father. That evening, Teto disguises himself as a waiter to get closer to Paula at a wedding party for Katia, one of Paula's close friends. At the party, Teto notices Dr. Victor persistently flirting with Paula, making her visibly uncomfortable. When Paula walks away, Teto follows her, pretending to clean up after a drunk guest. As they talk, Dr. Victor approaches again, trying to lure Paula away. However, Paula, who seems to have taken a liking to Teto, surprises everyone by kissing him in front of Dr. Victor, clearly aiming to make the doctor jealous. Later, Paula invites Teto outside for some fresh air. Seizing the moment, Teto spins another lie, claiming he grew up in poverty, forced to work from a young age, and survived on nothing but tomatoes. The romantic atmosphere of the night seems perfect for Teto to make his move, but once again, Paula rejects his attempt to kiss her. The next day marks the start of Teto's and Igor's internship. As they arrive at the office, they run into Monik, who reveals she's been fired from her junior executive position. Inside, they meet Alana, the coordinator of the internship program. Alana introduces herself and explains that she will oversee the interns for the next month, ultimately deciding who will earn the coveted permanent position at Teodoro's company. The story continues with Teto being asked to make coffee, a simple task that feels beneath him. Meanwhile, Alana is summoned by the company's marketing director, who instructs her to give special attention to Igor, who is still pretending to be Teto. As a result, Igor is assigned easy tasks, while Teto is burdened with complex work he doesn't even understand. Frustrated by the unfair treatment, Teto seeks help from Monik. When Teto visits Monik's home, he is struck by the stark contrast between her modest lifestyle and his own privileged one. Monik lives in a small, simple house, a far cry from the luxury Teto is accustomed to. At that moment, Teto asks Monik to mentor him during the internship, offering his car as a reward if he secures the permanent position. However, Monik reveals that what she truly needs is money for her living expenses and her sister's medical treatment. Learning about Monik's sister's illness, Teto turns to Paula for help. Paula, being a medical student, examines Monik's sister and arranges a hospital consultation. As they walk home, Teto seizes the opportunity to ask Paula out on a date. To his delight, she agrees, though she suggests they go out 2 days later. Back at the internship, Monik advises Teto to step up his game and learn new skills to impress the company. However, Teto's efforts fail to win Alana's approval. In fact, she dismisses him outright, even instructing him to shred the documents she hands out. Feeling disheartened, Teto turns to Monik for guidance once more. Together, they brainstorm ideas for a marketing campaign for Teto's father's company. The day of Teto's date with Paula finally arrives. Following Monik's suggestion, Teto takes Paula to a charming spot, and the two enjoy themselves as if the world belongs only to them. When they struggle to find a place to stay for the night, Teto invites Paula to his apartment, where they share a warm, starlit evening. The next day, inspired by his time with Paula, Teto comes up with a bold idea for the campaign: a tomato fountain. Unfortunately, Alana dismisses the idea, favoring Igor's proposal instead. Luckily, the marketing director sees potential in Teto's concept and recommends it for implementation. That evening, as Teto and Igor work on their respective projects, Alana arrives with Paula to meet Teto. Unaware of the identity swap, Alana mistakes Igor for Teto and leaves with him, while Teto stays behind with Paula. Shortly after, Igor takes Alana to Teto's apartment, where they spend a passionate night together. Meanwhile, Teto and Paula share a similar intimate moment, though in a different location. Later, Paula receives a message from Monik about her sister's deteriorating health. Rushing to Monik's side, Paula tends to her sister while Teto looks after Monik's niece. The next morning, Teto returns to his apartment and is shocked to find Alana, their internship supervisor, asleep in his bed. Igor, who has just come back from outside, is immediately scolded by Teto for sleeping with Alana. At that moment, Teto accuses Igor of getting close to Alana to secure the permanent position at his father's company. Meanwhile, Alana, now awake and outside, runs into the apartment's caretaker. Mistaking the caretaker for Igor's father, Since Igor has been pretending to be Teto, she strikes up a conversation. Back inside, Teto hides under the bed to avoid being seen, but ends up falling asleep. This causes him to be late for work, where he was supposed to finalize his tomato fountain campaign idea. As a result, Igor is chosen to continue and complete his own project instead. Later, as Teto and Paula leave the apartment, Teto runs into his father. Teodoro invites Teto to a meeting with company investors to discuss the upcoming campaign. Meanwhile, Alana learns about the meeting and insists on attending with Igor, still believing him to be Teto. Not long after, Teto meets with Igor to explain his plan. He tells Igor that the investor meeting is at a hotel near the venue of Paula's graduation party. That evening, Teto and Igor play their respective roles. Teto is forced to juggle between the hotel and Paula's party, which are close by. In his haste, Teto is even hit by a cyclist. To make matters worse, Paula unknowingly gives Teto a drink spiked with sedatives by Risa. At the party, Teto sings for Paula and even proposes to her, completely unaware that his foot is stepping into a bonfire. After the chaotic proposal, Teto rushes back to the hotel to swap clothes with Igor. However, things take a turn for the worse when Teodoro walks into the bathroom and misinterprets the situation. Later, as Teto leaves the hotel, he is confronted by Paula. To his shock, his lies are exposed. It turns out that Anna, the woman from the beginning of the film, is Kadia's cousin. Anna reveals to everyone that Teto is actually the son of a wealthy family. As Teto tries to chase after Paula, he collapses due to the sedatives he ingested earlier. The next day, Teodoro explains the campaign to the investors, only to find Igor and Alana in a compromising situation at the tomato fountain. Furious, Teodoro returns to the apartment and discovers Teto sleeping in the same bed as Anna. To add to his anger, he finds the apartment caretaker sleeping in his own room. Feeling betrayed and disrespected, Teodoro lashes out at Teto, who has now lost his father's trust. With no other options, Teto decides to leave the apartment and takes refuge at Monic's house. The story continues as Teto makes one last attempt to see Paula, hoping to explain the truth and clear up the misunderstandings between them. However, Paula reveals that she is signed up to be a health volunteer in the Amazon. Heartbroken, Teto loses all interest in the announcement of who will be hired permanently at his father's company. But at Monic's insistence, he reluctantly agrees to attend the event. The announcement ceremony begins, and to everyone's surprise, Teto is declared the winner of the internship program. However, in an unexpected twist, both Teto and Igor stand up. Teto gestures for Igor to step forward. As Igor takes the podium, he reveals that the real Teto is sitting in the audience. Teto then steps down, apologizes to everyone for the chaos he caused, and promptly leaves the room. Meanwhile, Monik and Alana, still confused by the situation, demand an explanation. Once everything is clarified, the two women end up fighting over Teto's car, which was promised as a prize. However, Teto has a different plan in mind. He decides to sell the car and use the money as an investment for their future. 5 years later, on Teto's birthday, his father and friends throw him a modest celebration. Unexpectedly, Paula returns from the Amazon and shows up to congratulate him. Overwhelmed with emotion, Teto shares details about his latest project with Paula, impressing her with his growth and dedication. The film concludes with a heartfelt moment as Teto and Paula share a kiss on the rooftop of Monic's house, symbolizing a new beginning for both of them. The end. Moral lesson from the story: if you lie about being poor, don't forget your dad owns a tomato empire. It's hard to blend in when your family's ketchup money is everywhere. Also, never bet your car on an internship. You might end up walking while your friend drives off with your life.